Been 12 months of delirious, ridiculous fun here on Watch DA Live. It is time to celebrate all 12 of those months. Here it is, your 1-year anniversary special. Welcome inside the 1-year anniversary special, everybody. This is so cool. We are about to have a grand old time, and happy St. Patrick's Day to everybody out there. In fact, a big part of this show during the summer and early fall months was something that I've called the exhale cocktail. You know, everybody's a little stressed out in life. Everybody's a little distracted or anxiety ridden these days. We're all on our phones and worrying about doom and gloom. But you know what? Exhale Cocktail is there for you, because you take any drink of choice outside onto the back patio, out into the yard, onto the porch, or wherever you are. Crack it open, you pour it, you drink it out of the bottle, whatever. You leave your phone inside and you just zen out. And we're going to do that tonight here for the 1-year anniversary special. Happy St. Patrick's Day. I've got myself little Guinness right here. This is my first Guinness in a long time, but always been a big fan. So cheers, everybody, to one wonderful, delicious, and sometimes filling year. And I'm pouring it into a glass from my old student radio station at Syracuse, WAER. Can I split the G is the question. I'm probably not going to be able to do that, but I will enjoy this over the course of tonight's show. Let's all raise an exhale cocktail. Oh, look at that. Look at that just cascade down. What a delicious treat for yours truly. I'm excited about this. Let's all raise a toast to come together on Sundays and sometimes Monday nights to be one with the channel. A little over a year ago, it was really around January of 2024. I had this idea that I wanted to do a live show on YouTube. There's been such a push, really, there's been such a transition of people, especially young people, to go to YouTube only to get all of their content. And I said, people are doing cool stuff on YouTube, and I think we can do something really cool, even cooler than most. And I thought, we can do a show that has the intimacy of a radio show, but also have the visuals and the production value of like a cable access television show. And I said, I feel like this can work. And I knew that I had all of these de-aliens that were so loyal from my years on terrestrial radio that were looking for a common place to come if it wasn't Sirius XM. And I thought YouTube is perfect because, you know what? Everybody's on YouTube anyway. So the infrastructure was there, the access was there. Everybody has the app on their phone or their smart TV anyway. And I said, this is perfect. I started looking for executive producers. Who was going to be my running mate in this project? And sometime around the start of the new year, January, maybe late January, I got the one and only Marquette Marvel signed to an exclusive deal. That's right, big free agent signing. The Marquette Marvel, Aidan Hatton, was an intern of ours many moons ago on CBS Sports Radio. He had listened to us when he was growing up in Boston and then going to school at Marquette in Milwaukee. And he said, I'm in, DA. What do you need? And this has been a tremendous partnership. We've built out the team with other hands as well, but the two of us are here live every single week, and so are you. And the audience has been the biggest part of this because every time we take the air on Sundays or occasionally Mondays like this, you guys are there. You guys are commenting and joking and having fun and enjoying this the way that it's supposed to be enjoyed. And I love that, and I love you guys for that. And people noticed, and sponsors noticed, and guests noticed, and that is amazing. We did this on a Monday because this is the official start date of Watch DA Live. It was St. Paddy's Day last year, when you might remember the first guest was a half-in-the-bag Mraz, which was a Sunday night. But he was pretty hammered, and we were talking about how Saquon Barkley had just signed with the Philadelphia Eagles. We also had my friend Super Dave Friedman, on to break down the brackets on that selection Sunday. And so we figured, why not do the exact one-year anniversary this year? Exactly. Now, next year, I think it's going to be on a Tuesday, so we'll probably swing it back to Sunday. But we had to do the one-year anniversary on the date we launched this bad boy. So tonight, we are going to count down the 10 most memorable moments of the first year of Watch DA Live. And we had to parse this pretty good. We had to pick through some really good moments to get to 10 and to get to the best 10. And so for those that know a little bit of Spanish, un poquito, you know that Diez in Spanish is 10. So instead of Watch DA tonight, will be Watch Diez, the top 10 moments of the year. Okay, are we ready to do this? Look at this. This cascaded so nicely here. Luck of the Irish right there with us on our one-year anniversary. So we'll begin tonight with the honorable mentions. Here you go. It didn't make the top 10, this montage of clips, but these were the best of the rest of the first year of Watch DA Live. One of the funniest things that you're known for is when you hit that you took out of a bong and then you just like lived underwater for 6 months.
Bro, you did your research. I like it. It's stuff I haven't talked about a lot lately. Yeah, first of all, shout out drugs.
A dog in the making.
No, never let anybody down. No, whatever, if you're pregnant. But anyway, everybody else go for it. And then, yeah, it was nuts. I got to like the line of two. That was salvia. It's a different drug.
Oh, right.
And so then I took a massive hit and then just blasted. I was just in another dimension. I was literally living underwater in an underwater world. I made friends. I had a job. I had a lady. We broke up. It was a bad breakup. I had to avoid the underwater bars.
The underwater breakups usually are tough.
I've never seen anything like this in my hometown. And there are just like, we were just passing through tons of billboards, like it's the ultimate sunblock party. And then also like watch traffic, eclipse happening Monday. So there's just so much hype and enthusiasm. And of course, all the pop-up shops with the glasses and the hoodies and the You Got Mooned t-shirts. So everybody here is just like totally pumped.
This is going to be the biggest eclipse we have in like 70 years then. The next
but DA, you and I talked about this. Then like 3 years later, they'll be like, oh, we got another one.
Your impersonations are awesome. So before we wrap this up, can I get like an Ashton Kutcher talking about how high school is a brutality, maybe? About how high school is difficult?
Let's see. Hey there, guys. Ashton Kutcher here. I was in science class, and they set me on fire, okay? They hit me with a Bunsen burner. Burn! I hated high school, but now I'm trying to protect the children. So it's a little ironic.
That's great.
That's a puppy. He might sound like Scrappy Doo right now.
Earlier this week, I mean, there was a tweet from you that was laugh out loud hysterical, but it was inspired by another person's response to one of your tweets. So here it is on the screen right now. We had to blur out most of what this guy, Mike F., was tweeting at you, but he said he had a lot of affinity for you. I think he wanted to get to know you a little bit better, and he was willing to get to know other people better who had known you better. Yes. I think that would be a way to summarize it. And you just said, sir, this is a win.
Because what the hell, Mike F? This is not my DMs. I would say I don't get that many even DMs. And I don't get DMs, and I don't get DMs like this. Surprisingly, I don't. And this stopped me in my tracks. At no point in that sentence did I know what the next word was going to be. You have to coordinate times. You got to figure out.
It's all scheduling. It really is.
This guy has a planner that he writes down who, what, and when every single day. It sounds like he wants to schedule something. And Mike F., I'm sorry, but not happening.
He might not have that deep alto tone bark right now.
Is that a bird? do you have a bird, or is that just a bird out in your
I
game?
have to show it to you. I have two
Okay.
birds, and there is this fat squirrel. I feed. Hold on. Where is the squirrel? Where is this? Hold on. There is a tree. She's gonna.
Oh
come.
yeah, I see the squirrel. Yeah,
You see the squirrel?
I see the
Right
squirrel. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so you have a pet bird?
I don't pet birds, but they kind of eat what left over from the squirrel. And the squirrel became kind of chunky because I feed it so much. My mom was visiting. She was like, "Your squirrel is fat. You need to stop feeding."
A dog.
Well, oh,
Look how
at
fat
this.
my head is as well, and your little Chiron. Oh Lord!
and look at my lights are going in and out. This is something else.
Don't look behind me because I had all my soccer memorabilia in some kind of order, and now it's just a mess, a total mess.
Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to pass the ball to you, and you're going to take it and run with it for about 60 seconds. Because
Okay.
I'm going to have to fix this light, okay?
Oh, right. So now I'm hosting your show.
So now,
I'm not even getting a fee for this.
so,
Now I'm
so-
hosting. Oh,
for crying out loud. JJ Devaney, Soccer Insider. That was so great. All those guests were so much fun. And those were just a smattering of the moments that were great, but did not make the top 10. So we've got the top 10 moments to go here from the last year on Watch DA Live. And our wonderful sponsor since day one has been Last Dive Bar out in the Bay Area. Amazing apparel, awesome hoodies, awesome t-shirts, awesome everything. They're giving you 15% off your order by using code Mothership. And at the end of today's show, we're giving away another 3-pack, 3 different shirts from Last Dive Bar to our wonderful D-Aliens. So send us comments throughout the night. Whatever platform you're watching this on, comment away your favorite moments, your favorite memories. If you remember when you began watching, your favorite guests, and we will pick out the best 3 and reward you guys with some Last Dive Bar swag by the end of the show. Also, we've got a bracket challenge to go as well. Now that the brackets are set, there's a Watch DA Live bracket challenge. So we will give you the details of that after we do the top 10. So stay right there. Let's get to number 10. This was from August, and Bob Parsons is a billionaire. Yeah, this guy is worth a ton of money because he founded GoDaddy. Yep. And then sold GoDaddy. And now you might know him from the PXG commercials, the extreme golf type of clubs and balls and bags and everything. But really the technology of the clubs is where PXG has made their name. Well, Bob joined us back in the summer. And Bob is, he's got a few quips. That is a smart aleck type of billionaire. And he's just a regular dude. You got to love it. And Rosie the cat, my beloved Rosie the cat, crashed the set as Bob was on. Because you know what? Rosie doesn't know how much your net worth is. She's crashing the set no matter what. And Bob had a slightly out-of-pocket comment. This is from August the 18th. This is number 10. That is really cool. And I know that it's cool because Rosie the cat just jumped up on my lap as you were telling that story. So it resonated with Rosie as well. Danica Patrick, GoDaddy. And the synergy there, which is really awesome. You know,
I've seen that tail go up, and that's why he must have his zipper down.
always great when a billionaire makes fun of your fly being open. I saw the tail go up. I thought your zipper was down. Wow. Bob, this is a children's show. As Lucy Burge might say, sir, this is a Wendy's. That was pretty saucy. Aidan Hatton, the Marquette Marvel, has been alongside for all of these moments. And I got to be honest, I did not expect that from Bob. Bob's a pretty fun guy, but we had never had Bob on my radio show before, so I didn't know that he kind of played fast and loose. That was one of those moments where like, oh, okay, Bob Parsons.
That was a big get that I was happy to nail down for the show. And as you mentioned, that was a Watch GA Live exclusive. And The folks that I was working with on his team were very gracious. Even that day, wanted to make sure that he was set up, ready to go. May have been our most time-sensitive guest. He was signed on before we signed on to the studio. It was ready to go live and dropped that bomb. And behind the scenes of being the executive producer now for 365 days or more than that, the PR person then emailed right after the interview and goes, "Hope you're okay with that sense of humor." Didn't know he was going to go there.
Hope you're okay with that sense of humor. Yeah, we've heard a lot worse. We're actually very good at that sense of humor. We just didn't expect it from a billionaire.
Did not. And yes, Parsons Extreme Golf, very successful brand. I had to connect the dots. Oh, wait, he's not just the GoDaddy guy, like you said. Hometown of Baltimore, Maryland. And that's where I was producing the show that weekend, visiting my brother. You were up at the normal studios. And as you'll see, the camera has moved from certain locations down in the DA dungeon. That was the diagonal era. Now we're back to our straight up 90-degree angle to your beautiful
I like that. The diagonal era. Yeah, that's like a certain
it's like
helmet.
The cocaine era of 90s basketball.
Or like when the Denver Broncos wear that crazy horse on the side that's like kicking all of its legs from the 60s. And it's like, oh, right, that's the Broncos crazy cartoon horse era. Right. Okay.
McGuire Sosa steroid era. We could keep going.
That's right. Let's get to number 9. This was from last April. So we began the show during the NCAA tournament, and one of my good friends, Mary Paletti Brown, who I used to work with in Boston, huge UConn fan. And we always tease one another, me being a Syracuse fan, her being a UConn fan. When I met Mary when I was working up there, she was working for Comcast Sportsnet New England, which is now NBC Sports Boston. And at that time, Syracuse was still in the Big East and right before we had left for the ACC. So the rivalry was at its peak back in those days, the crazy Johnny Flynn, Devendorf, 19 overtime tournament game. That's the same era. So we used to be at each other's throats pretty good. Now Syracuse left for the ACC. UConn wandered the desert of the American for a long time. Now they're back in the Big East, but Syracuse isn't there. But anyway, there's still an animosity there. So we created a bet, even though Syracuse is not in the men's tournament, they were in the women's tournament, and they were going to play UConn. So we put a bet on the line, okay? And the bet ended up not in my favor. This is number 9 from April 24th. For those that don't know, Mary and I worked together in Boston many moons ago. She's a UConn grad. I'm, of course, a Syracuse grad. So there is a hatred that should run very deep. And so we've had a good rivalry over the years. And I put my big, stupid foot in my big, stupid mouth last weekend. She said, well, how about going into next week? We put something on the Syracuse-UConn women's game. I'm like, yeah, let's do that. Because I don't have a men's team to root for this year. And the winner is going to make the loser wear apparel of the winner's choice.
So I actually was very, very nice to you because a lot of my closet is size XS up there. So it's pretty small. But I decided because we're friends that I would give you a small. So this was a kind thing that I did for you. And I cannot wait for this. I really can't.
All right, here you go, Mary. This is so difficult to stomach because I have to wear a UConn t-shirt, which goes against every fiber in my body. Here you go. It's a small, a women's small. Maybe it's a unisex. I don't know. Here you go.
You're never going to be able to get it off. How are you going to?
I can't get it off.
It's scraped off of you.
There's going to be pit stains in it as well. So good luck. Good luck ever wearing this ever again. At the very least, I've ruined one of your UConn shirts forever.
It does. Oh, this is a great day. How does it feel? By the way, you should tell people what the note said.
Yeah, Mary sent me a really nice note that said this is going to be the only time you actually feel like a winner by wearing this.
It's true. Do you feel good?
No, I feel terrible. I feel like I want to just like rip this off right now and throw it in a bonfire. I mean, I love Timbo Slice's comment there. That t-shirt looks airbrushed on. It was a women's small. And if you've ever seen Mary, she's like rail thin, small. So like this shirt was so tight on me. It was ridiculous. And getting it off, I had to really peel it off. And the only thing that made me feel better was there was definitely pit stains in it. Definitely. Because it was so tight. And I was wearing it all night for that show. So there you go, Aidan. Now you're in the Big East with Marquette, and everybody still can't stand UConn. So even though she got one over on both of us in that way, at least she'll never be able to wear that T-shirt again because I sweated through it in the armpits.
You did. And one of my favorite behind-the-scenes DA stories that I just retold again last week because Big East Tournament week, I went down, just got back. And one of the years, it was actually the year that Marquette won the tournament, 2023. You were nice enough to come up and meet my boys and I for a drink in between a game somewhat. And we were just, reminiscing about the Syracuse days when you would go all the time. And, I'll always remember you saying, yeah, people think, Syracuse fans hate Georgetown. Yeah, of course we hate Georgetown. And as you know, DA, not a big cursor. But he goes, we effing hate UConn, though. And I'll always remember that because it was with such force, such gusto, that he said, yeah, people know we hate Georgetown. Yeah, sure. But like UConn, that's another level. So I know how much that hurt.
Yeah, we really effing hate UConn because, Georgetown and Syracuse were battling for supremacy of the Big East in the 80s. But really, after like Ewing leaves and maybe Mourning in the late 80s, early 90s, Georgetown completely fell off. There's the brief period with Allen Iverson, but it's not a consistent greatness like UConn. So UConn then goes to Final Fours. UConn's winning multiple national championships. There's all these epic UConn-Syracuse games. Rarely ever was there an epic Syracuse-Georgetown game. And then suddenly it was just like, yeah, we don't really hate Georgetown anymore. We really hate UConn. So yes, there is no doubt that what you saw there was true disgust that I had to wear that.
It feels very full circle that UConn's coming off 2 straight national titles. We're doing this anniversary show. Obviously, as a Marquette guy, they were actually the last team before last week to beat UConn in a Big East tournament game. So it's going to be an interesting tournament as we lead into the next year of Watch CA Live, hopefully for both of our sakes, because Marquette has only been, UConn's only been back in the Big East for how many years now? 3 or 4?
4.
Yeah. And I can't stand them now probably as much as you. So that goes to show how hateable they really are.
We do not need a three-peat. No. And as Craig says, it's a perfect shirt, kind of like compression socks when you need to get your circulation going. There you go. That's the perfect use for an extra small shirt, women's sized, when you have to lose a bet. Here's number 8. Now, you might remember this. Marc Summers was the host of Double Dare Nickelodeon. And as a child of the 80s, we didn't have cable, but my cousins did. And so every time we would go over my cousin's house, had to watch Nickelodeon, And so we used to watch Double Dare all the time. And it was amazing because Marc Summers was doing kind of a Nickelodeon-themed one-man show in New York off of Broadway. So we reached out to Marc Summers. I had him on Radio Row. I believe it was the Houston Super Bowl. We had this awesome conversation. So we reached out to him. He had remembered the conversation that we had a number of years before. And he's like, yeah, sure, I'll do it. And this was a pretty big get for us because this was maybe our 4th show, something like that. It was really early in doing this. So we did not have the reputation of the show built up. I think today, 1 year later, you send the email to a PR person, somebody's handler, marketing department. And we've got some credibility here. But at the point, Marc Summers kind of had to do us a little bit of a favor, but he had remembered the conversation that I had with him on Radio Row a number of years before. And he was like, yeah, I'll do it. There's this amazing viral moment that happened before moments could go viral. And that was on The Tonight Show with Jay Leno years ago. Burt Reynolds was on, and Burt Reynolds got a notoriously surly. Marc Summers was on, and Marc and Burt, for some reason, did not hit it off. And Burt Reynolds, being the sourpuss that he was that night, dumped his mug of water, coffee, whatever it was, booze, I don't know, on Marc Summers. And so Marc and him get into it. And after this show, you should definitely Google that or watch it on YouTube because it's a crazy night on The Tonight Show. So before I let Marc Summers go, I had to ask him about the most famous moment, arguably in his life, which is not the best moment, but it's the most famous perhaps. And that is the night that Burt Reynolds and him got into a fight on The Tonight Show. This is number 8 from April the 14th. Wow.
Yeah.
That is really cool. From that young man to fighting with Burt Reynolds on The Tonight Show. Think about that.
Yeah, boy, that was a night. Holy mackerel.
Did you guys make up after that?
No.
No.
He hugged me and said, I only did that because I really like you. And then he left. And, I mean, we were in the last commercial, but Jake, said, hey, wait, what is it going on with Burt? What happened? And, he just got in the car and drove off. I get a phone call from the New York Post the next day, and they asked what was going on. And I said it was like doing 3 rounds with Muhammad Ali. And the headline in the New York Post that next morning was, Burt goes berserk on Tonight. And to this day, I still have people stop me in the street because everybody thought it was set up. Yeah. It wasn't. He was just nuts that night and went crazy. You can go on YouTube. If you just Google Marc Summers and Burt Reynolds, you'll see what happened. And I swear to you, it was an organic thing. I'm not that good of an actor. I could have never faked what happened on that show.
The cool thing about having Marc Summers on, because this was, again, early in the period of doing this show, I had multiple people go, did you get the real Marc Summers on? I'm like, is there a fake Marc Summers? Yeah. I'm like, wow, that's a good get. Which is funny because it's not like Marc Summers is an A-list celebrity, but because everybody of my age remembers Marc Summers from Double Dare, it's like, wow, he's really famous. Then he became a Food Network host as well. But I mean, he definitely resonated with the audience. And they're like, wow, that's a really good get. My friends were like, you really got Marc Summers? And yes, and Marc Summers had to talk about the night that Burt Reynolds and him got into a spat on The Tonight Show that ended up on the headline or the front page of the New York Post the next day. That's what's crazy, Aidan. This was not just a moment in time that was like late night TV that nobody noticed until many years later. It was like back in the day that became front page news at the New York Post, and the nicest guy ever, Marc Summers, caught in the crosshairs.
I could tell he was the nicest guy ever because obviously that's not my target era. But yes, number one, the biggest get at that moment of time that we had, because it was, whatever time it was in the era of the show, that was a big one. I remember reaching out to everybody. Oh yeah, same experience that you had. Big get. And the nicest guy. That was a pre-recorded interview, and that, a couple minutes before, he sat down with both of us and talked to me about his time living in Boston, which was very cool. My favorite part of the interview that we didn't show here, but an answer that you talked to him as well on the air about, was throwing out the first pitch at Fenway and how he had to go to a local ballpark, a little, rec park, to make sure he put 50 warm-up pitches in to make sure he threw a strike. And that was my favorite part of the interview because he's such a baseball nut and wanted to throw one right down the middle.
Yeah, he's a total hardcore baseball guy. So that definitely helped as well. He's a good sports fan. He knows a lot about sports. So when we asked him to come on, he's like, yeah, absolutely. So that was really cool. So right around this time, I think this was Marc Summers on April 14th of last year. The next week, we were going to pay off the bet. So the NCAA tournament had ended. Again, our first episode was this date last year, which came out on Selection Sunday. So we had unfolded the tournament, and last year we had a celebrity bracket, and we use celebrity very loosely around here. Basically, it's my buddies from radio. So Mraz and Bogish and Bilotti, etc., Pat Boyle, Aidan, we had all done this kind of bracket. Babs was in the bracket as well. And whoever came in last had to eat the most sour candy known to man, something called toxic sludge. We found it online, found it on eBay or found it on Amazon, bought it, shipped it to Aidan's house because Aidan ended up losing as the worst bracket in the competition. So what was the reaction? Here we are waiting for this remarkably disgusted look on Aidan's face. He was going to eat the most disgustingly sour, toxic sludge known to man. It's like a candy, but it's a super sour candy. And we're waiting, and we're waiting, and we kept waiting. Here it is, number 7, one sour moment from April the 21st. All right, so Aidan, you've got toxic waste in your hand. It's considered the most sour candy on earth. And by the way, here is the time that on the package it says you need to do. If you're 15 seconds, you're a total wuss. If you're 30 seconds, you're a crybaby. If you're 45 seconds, you're a toxie wannabe.
Ooh.
And then if you're 60 seconds, a full toxie head.
Who cares about your blazer?
I'm smoked, for crying out loud.
Right.
All right. What do we got?
3, 2, 1, pop them.
Oh.
Okay, it has started.
Oh, no.
They looked harmless.
No, it's all the ones that look harmless that end up being very harmful, folks, as you know. Wow, no face really made yet.
Yeah, 10 seconds.
He kind of looks smug.
Yeah,
I don't like it at
A little
all.
too confident.
Don't taunt the candies. They can feel it.
Let your tongue do a little more work, Aidan.
20
I think
seconds.
you can
That's
do
what
that.
she said.
Oh,
Come on, this is
man.
not like Ghost Chili then if he's this unbothered.
Oh,
okay.
Don't do it. Don't
You know,
no.
I like it. I like it. He's a showman.
Okay, for the crowd.
This is a veteran's job.
We're at 40 seconds.
This is Dwayne Wade and Marquette.
Wow.
I like this.
Wow. Golly.
Maybe.
There's just a little tingle, but never hurt anybody.
Is it like a warhead?
I'm up to a minute.
Yeah. Oh, my God.
It's more just a tingling sensation.
Wow, these are
But
pathetic.
my cheeks actually feel great. And side note, they all taste the same. So,
Man.
blue raspberry apple. Bogue is right. We needed to rename these to strike fear in the opponents a little more.
Boy, the first Watch DA live bet
Right.
payoff has been a total dud. This
Total
is
dud.
just, yeah, boy.
Wow.
He didn't get punished.
I know. This is a total dud. I have to do something else to him. That's it.
No.
No,
Look, even
My
if he
tongue
didn't
is
punish,
totally
throw back
fine,
more
and
in.
I've swallowed all 3.
Ah,
What
come
happened?
on. I don't know. But come on. Where great bets and bits go to die. Toxic waste, the candy. So give us the full breakdown. It wasn't that bad at all, huh?
It wasn't that bad. And there's a lot here. Obviously, you could probably guess for me that I'm glad that this one made it as number 7. A bogus, that's what she said, went under the radar there. I had to keep it there in the edit.
Yeah, great.
Whereas openly admitting he smoked on the air, love that. Making fun of my blazer. Yes, that was a Dwayne Wade performance at Marquette. And gosh, yeah, it went over a minute. I personally did not think that was going to happen. I woke up that morning and was legitimately scared. I remember being, I was trying to publicize it to, hey, as stupid as I look, come tune in. This will be a fun thing for my friends to laugh at me. And I can't even say that I, practiced or conquered this feat. It was just that the toxic waste was not as toxic.
Such a shame. And who knows? We haven't done another bet since. Maybe that sourness, unintended, forever. Maybe we're always going to be scarred from doing another bet. There's going to have to be another bet at some point in time, but clearly we need to make sure the payoff is way better than that one here at Watch DA Live, especially because the payoff needed to be visual as well, not just an audio payoff like we've done on the radio so many times. So that one was a double whammy. It was bad audio and bad visuals. It was just like, it's like eating a bunch of Sour Patch Kids. Probably had you just shoved 10 Sour Patch Kids in your mouth and maybe the sugar at the bottom of Sour Patch bag, you probably would have had more pain than what you ate there.
That's a really good point because it kind of, I can already feel the feeling of that. It sticks right at the bottom of your cheeks with the sugar included. Toxic waste was not actually that sugary. And yeah, we'll have to come up with something else because you make a great point. It's tournament time. And I was just talking to a friend about this and getting ready to fill out my bracket. I'm like, oh, geez, I did really bad last year. And the more it very full circle. Now I have a segment on the show called Making Tacos where I actually give you college basketball information. Hey, hand up. This is the guy that finished last in the bracket challenge last year. So look how far we've come.
All right, now number 6. Now, we began in September doing a weekly football guest on Sunday nights after all the football action. And that really supercharged this show because once we got our first few episodes under our belt, we're like, okay, this is the cadence. This is what we're doing. This is when we're coming on. This is how we're going to approach the Furious 5. And once we started landing the first few guests, it was very easy, actually. People were like, oh, so-and-so's been on. Yeah, I've seen that. I've seen that clip. Let's do it. And so Bart, who's always been amazing, Bart Scott, dating back to our CBS Sports Radio days, was like, no doubt, let's do it. Absolutely. Now, it's always tough. Bart will say yes, but you actually got to get him on the horn. And you also got to get him on the horn, in this case, on video. It's not just a phone. And his connection was all over the place. He's in his basement. He's moving around. And he's also just riffing on everything. And so that was probably the most out of control football interview we did. Mostly it was nights where we had guests that were insiders or they had former players or broadcasters, and we had really good, insightful football conversations. There was a little bit of that with Bart, but mostly it was him just going nuts. And he gets into the Shannon Sharpe sex tape. Remember, at this moment in time, and this was in September, Shannon Sharpe left his phone on as he was getting it on. So it's going on Instagram Live, I believe. Everybody is watching this. This becomes a very big deal. Bart makes a comment that Shannon Sharpe ends up getting a sponsorship from an ED pill out of it, or some type of sexual enhancement pill. Then, without provocation, launches into just taking down Frank Thomas for being overweight. It's such a whiplash moment, but it just sums up the craziness of Bart Scott on this show. When I had him on the radio, he was obviously unpredictable. But on this one, on YouTube, it was like the gloves were off. Let's just talk about anything, wherever, whenever, right here. Here it is, number 6 from September 22nd.
Then I'm looking at Shannon Sharpe, you know what I'm saying, with the sex scandal. Now he's slanging Rose Sparks. You know what I'm saying? He done turned this into a whole endorsement.
Do you think that Shannon purposefully left his phone on for that?
No. But when you got a good team around you, you turn anything into a profit. He has a huge audience. So, you know, he was doing the nasty, you know what I'm saying? I tell you what, when he was getting it in, he lost his stutter. He lost his lips. I can understand everything he was saying. He said Michelle. I was looking Crow. I would make sure he didn't say Michael. He said Michelle. You know what I'm saying? But now he's slanging them Rose Sparks. And I don't know if he was on a Rose Spark. No, I don't know if he was on a Rose Spark or not, man. I don't know if my dog was on a Rose Spark, but I tell you what, I say I was on some Rose Spark if they offered me some cheese on my taco. You know what I'm saying? He got a sponsorship now. Rose Spark. It's better. It's better. I believe him on the Rose Sparks more than I believe Frank Thomas on the damn Nugenics. This dude been sponsoring Nugenics for 10 years. He's still fat as hell. Like, hold up, man. Like, why you got a black T-shirt on? Doug Flutie, everybody else got their shirt off. They ripped up on the beach surfing. Frank Thomas got a black shirt on, sleeveless, to cover up how big he is. You ain't lost no weight, and the testing fin ain't never proved that the testing gonna keep you rock. Come on, man. I ain't the only one that sound like, yo, why Frank Thomas still fat? And he been on Nugenics for 10 years. Hey, man, you gotta get that lap band, Frank.
I ain't the only one who wonders why Frank Thomas is still fat. That's a quote that goes down in history. It is so wrong on so many levels. Frank Thomas is a freaking baseball Hall of Famer, the big hurt, one of the best hitters of his generation, towering monster home runs, beautiful swing. And here is Bart Scott saying, I can't be the only one who wonders why Frank Thomas is still fat. And I mean, you could see me melting down over there because I'll tell you what, when he was getting it in, Shannon lost his lisp. I mean, I got to tell you, if you want to do a deep dive tonight, if you're looking to continue the good times here on the show and go back and watch Bart Scott's full interview. It's probably about a half hour long. There's some stuff that I probably will not air again. There's some stuff that probably will not age well, but it's up for now. We have not been alerted by YouTube to take it down, so you could I would definitely rewatch it. I mean, that one, we didn't know where he was going, what was next. Remember, it began as talking about how bad the Jets and Giants are, and within 3 minutes, we were off of football into like everything else. It was in everything else we were talking about. Remember, we got into his art collection. We got into, I mean, the weird thing about, was it one of his teammates was dating a girl down in D.C.? It was, I mean, there was all types of in-stories and backroom stuff, and I mean, just shots fired across the bow. It was crazy. And I think you and I, Aidan, both after the show were like, whoa, Bart was amazing, but like, what is that good? Is it dangerous? It's like, what happened? It was a tornado that blew through.
So I think this is ranked pretty low, to be honest with you. And you know, we have so many that are in the top 5 and correct the top 5 that are worthy and deserving. But as far as singular funny moments go, and maybe, like you said, our wackiest interview, this is it for me, because, you know, I put the headline there as did he or did he not? Obviously, that was another angle of it. And yes, Frank Thomas. And I honestly think, and I've seen this a few times now as we've been going through the edits and the process, he could be a stand-up comedian. He could join our list of comedian friends of the show. The fact that he knows that, and he can so accurately tell the story of him in a black tank top while Doug Flutie and the rest of them are all shirtless, it's just amazing. And I'm so glad you brought up in the prelude of, yeah, you know, Bart's a great guy. He's super nice to sit down for more than probably a half hour with us, but you have to get him on the horn. And that was a show back in, September the 22nd, where he was not particularly on time. And as the show, we had to stretch. Hey, let's talk about Sam Darnold for 5 more minutes. Hey, let's remember when he was good back in September? Yeah, now he's on another team. And yes, we finally got Bart to sign in about 45 minutes later. And he called me out of nowhere, called my cell phone in the middle of the show as you're getting through your take as the Vikings are undefeated. And I'm like, all right, we're finally getting it up, and we finally get it up. And yeah, the rest is history, because it went, like you said, Jets, Giants, maybe 5 minutes. He made fun of a unnamed teammate that loved going to DC and loved going to Boston for the women, loved to travel just for the women. And yeah, if you are looking for a video to watch, number 1, Marc Summers and the Burt Reynolds fight. Number 2 in your YouTube queue is the Bart Scott full interview.
Definitely. And if you're looking for the interviews, go to our channel and just click on interviews. They should all be organized by playlist on the channel. So you're going to see DA deep dives, which are my takes, kind of long form on stories. You'll see the best of Watch DA live. So we take obviously the best of what happened here on the show. There's also my Nomad videos, which is my kind of like travel/sports videos and series. Then there is the interviews. And so the interviews are the long form interviews that we've done here on the show. So you can check all those out. Also, just before we get to the top 5, if you are with us right now, even if this is your first show ever, just know that you're in on the ground floor. Now, we got the aliens here that were in on the ground floor week 1 of this show, a year ago. But this first year was a foundational year, and we caught a lot of people's attention by doing something better than a lot of people have done it here on YouTube. I think the family of listeners really resonated with people. Also, the way that we've kind of used graphics and animations to do it is not just like we're turning on cameras and, using a microphone and interviewing somebody, or just kind of, going through the motions. We put a lot of time and effort into the visuals of this. And, through my 20 years in radio plus, we have great connections to get interviews like Bart and relationships. And I think that helps set us apart. Bart said to me that, I would only do this for a couple of people, and I don't really do a lot of interviews. And I was like, no, I know it. And he goes, but you're one of those guys. And I said, I really appreciate that. And the reason that he said that was we did Wednesday nights on CBS Sports Radio for 2 or 3 seasons. And, Bart knew that I was going to let him color outside the lines, but I was going to also bring him back to what needed to be done, because he needs somebody to kind of give him the space and then bring it back when he gets a little too crazy. And he always knew that he could trust me because, I love him. I appreciate him. He came to my wedding. We developed a really deep bond, but I also let Bart be Bart. And so that interview was a good indicator of that. It was like the best of the relationships that I've had, where a guy was like, yo, I trust you. Like, let's do this. Let's have some fun. Let's do it. Let's kick it. And even I was like, whoa, we're going there. Let's get to number 5. This was a road show. Or no, it was not supposed to be a road show. The final game at the Oakland Coliseum happened on September 26th. And the A's obviously have been essential part of this show and of the last 3 or 4 years of me doing shows. And I became really dedicated to the cause of espousing why the A's moving was a mistake and what a criminal John Fisher is, and what a joke it was that baseball allowed him to leave, especially without a relocation fee. So the final day at the Oakland Coliseum, I had everything set up down here in Studio DA. This is my home studio where I do some Sirius XM shows, but all of Watch DA, usually, unless I'm on vacation or something like that. And I was all set up. We had the A's backdrop. You can see that Ricky Henderson picture behind me. I had Vita Blue. I had the Bash Brothers. I had all these things set up around here. I had the backdrop, the sell flag that's gone, that's become a household flag out in the Bay Area, telling John Fisher to sell, like all of this stuff. And I'm watching the game and I'm getting set to do this show, and my internet is just crapping out on me. It's just flickering. And I'm going, are you kidding me? This is crazy. We do the show every week from down here. I do radio shows from down here, and it's completely out. And I cannot figure it out. And I try to move the whole set upstairs to the bedroom where the upstairs router is, and that's not working as well. And I'm like, are you kidding me? We've waited and promoted that we're going to do a show reacting following the A's final home game. I'm going to have Oakland A's players, former players, Oakland natives on. This is going to be a huge show, and I can't get on the internet. And it took us so long to figure this out. And I'm on the phone with Aidan. I'm like, I don't know what to do. I'm rebooting everything. I'm rebooting the router. I'm rebooting my computers. I'm rebooting the camera. Nothing is working. Finally, I said, I got to go to my parents' house. And my parents live about 15 minutes away. So I texted my dad, or I forget, and I just said, I'm coming over. I got to do the show from over there. He's like, all right. Well, my parents' router is in my dad's office, and in my dad's office is like, furniture from the 1950s. It's like, not exactly the backdrop that screams baseball or a sports show. But I was like, we have to do the show. We've promoted it. We've built it. We've booked it. It has to be done. It has to be done. And I've said this often. I could be flexible, but I'm not great being told no. There's always a way. And so this is the Oakland Forever show. And you'll notice, done from my parents' second floor office, which used to be my brother's bedroom when he was like 5. Here you go. A very emotional Oakland Forever. This is number 5, September 26th. who in their right mind could look at today and say, yeah, there's no fans in Oakland? Yeah, see, even when they left, nobody showed up. You couldn't say that.
I don't know. It felt like a funeral watching that game. It felt like everyone there was just sad. Bip Roberts was tearing up after the game. His partner was tearing up. I just felt really sad watching the game today.
To be honest with you, I think that a lot of us Bay Area cats are just a little kind of shell-shocked already from what has transpired leading up to this, which is, you know, the Warriors going to San Francisco, which is still Bay Area, but you know how people from Oakland, it really means a lot. If you leave Oakland, it's kind of like there's a little bit of lost love there.
All right, so here it is. Line 51. Gotta give a hug to my auntie. So, your attention real quick. So, everybody here, one voice that nationally saw this story, right? And saw the con that was being ran by John Fisher. He was the first national guy to pick up this story, right? And he's been an advocate. He's been a voice of what's going on. He just put out a 24-minute video of why this happened. And it's the best thing I've ever seen. You guys are all on a nationally broadcasted live show right now. Show some love for DA. So this will all be up online tomorrow. In beautiful Line 51 Brewing Company. Oh, look at this. Down with the cause. There you go. So yeah, so DA show, he's going live. So give it up for DA one more time. So loud in here. So loud in here. Can you believe that shit? I love you, DA.
That was a pretty powerful moment. I mean, that's 3,000 miles away, and a group of A's fans that had their hearts ripped out took a moment to salute the show and the messaging that we put out there. And that means so much, you know, because if you do what I do, you just, certainly for somebody like me, you just dream that people care. Because if they care, it doesn't matter how many people are there. Even if one person cares, it means it matters. It means what you put your efforts into, your work into matters. And that's what this show has been. Watch DA Live. There's no salary that comes from this. There's no Sirius XM contract that comes from this or CBS Sports Radio. This is a real passion. This is a passion project. This is a love of the game type thing. And I love doing this show. And I love doing this show. And I'll tell you exactly why. I love it because it's a family. And everybody that you see in the comments right now feel like they know one another. They all feel like best friends, even if they have never met one another, even if they only know each other's names as usernames. They all feel like they know one another. And the fact that we have that we have this thing that matters and that it can be transported and it can be received thousands of miles away when we're not there and be saluted means the world. It means this is why you keep doing it, because it's really not about whether it makes money or revenue or it gets X number of uploads, downloads, followers, subscribers, traffic. What you do is you do it because there are people that are affected positively, not negatively, affected positively every single time we do it. That's all that really matters. And so again, if you're part of this, it's a beautiful, beautiful thing. And that moment right there was incredible. And it sucked that I couldn't get out there because I really wanted to be out there for the final game, but it just was not working in the middle of football season and everything else going on. But just imagine my heartbreak. You saw Domino from the Hieroglyphics on. Now, the Hieroglyphics are one of the coolest hip-hop groups of all time since I was listening to them in the 90s, and we got Domino coming on, and I'm like, I can't get on the air. We have Ben Grieve coming on, Rookie of the Year. Oh, we can't get on the air. Oh, my internet's out. It's like, no. It's not that we're not doing this. And we have all of those people that want to hear. We had A's fans on Zoom all night, weighing in. Remember, we were taking calls from A's fans, heartbroken, angry. It was like, no, we have to do this. We have to. And I remember just looking, to the sky being like, universe, I don't know why my internet is out, but we got to get this done. We got to be there for these people. And thankfully, my parents' internet worked well enough. The audio was not crisp. The visuals were not great. But you know what? We got on the air, and that's all that actually mattered. So that was that was the most emotional moment of the first year here at Watch DA Live. We get to number 4. This was emotional in a different way. The AFC Championship Game. The Chiefs and the Bills. And officiating came into question. Nick Wright, a friend of mine, a polarizing figure in sports media, is a big, big Chiefs supporter. I was pulling for the Bills, and it led to an emotional type of interview. This was from January 27th. I do think last night, like so many games before, it has felt as though the Chiefs have benefited from the doubt.
Last night?
Yes.
Last night, when the Bills touchdown before the half, if there was any pass interference, it was OPI, and they called DVI, but it was declined because he caught it, so that doesn't count to the numbers.
Well, we can go tick for tack.
Yeah, sure. Let's do it.
Yeah.
They ran a play.
And then they went back and they reviewed it. Yep.
Is that allowed, Damon?
Usually not. No.
No. Not usually not. That's against the rules. Well, we literally, these playoffs, saw a referee come to the sideline and pat Josh Allen on the head, apologizing.
Well, hey, let's frame that correctly, though. Allen was the only guy that clarified what happened, and he says the ref came over and said, "Hey, chill out with criticism."
You believe that? You believe that?
Well, wait a second. What? So the only explanation of what happened, I'm just supposed to not believe? Yeah, but that's really not a fair thing to throw over all of this, because Patrick Mahomes does get the benefit of the doubt from the officials, and I'm not even saying
based on what? I'm saying based on what?
People are upset because it feels like, whether it's right or wrong, that the Chiefs get the benefit of the doubt.
I don't give with respect, I don't give a shit what it feels like.
But
I don't care.
To just go on the defensive, to just go on the assault. I think kind of
Damon, who did I go on the assault on? Adam Schefter because of a terrible article?
Well, okay, that'd be one of the victims. Yeah.
Sure. Who else?
I think your whole tone is, if you blame the officials, you're so stupid.
You're a loser.
Okay.
You know how much I love you and respect you and look up to you. I don't think it's helpful if the day after the game, we're doing 28 minutes on the refs.
I really love that conversation, and it's amazing. A lot of people hated that conversation. There's a lot of you that were like, cut off his mic, get Nick off of here. This is obnoxious. But I really loved it. And I think I loved it because, you know me, like, I'm not going to get argumentative with guests. I don't find that to be productive. You're asking somebody to come on your show, to take time out, to be combative, to me seems to be disrespectful. But in Nick's case, Nick is very obstinate. Nick can be strident in his opinions, especially about the Chiefs. And we go back quite a ways. We worked at 610 Sports in Kansas City together for a brief time back in 2007. That was my last year there. That was his first year there. He's from Kansas City, but he came back and worked there. So we go back, a long time. So we can fight with one another, and it is not personal. And those are moments I really like to capture. And so the traffic that interview did was tremendous. Tons of views, and most saying, "Oh, Nick schooled you, Nick destroyed you." And I was like, I kind of wanted him to get so angry that it was that, because that is compelling. And it wasn't personal, but the whole bit was, let's turn the screws to get the best. Let's keep poking, pressing the buttons to get the best. And it became great. I thought it became great. And I kind of love being entertained when Nick gets that angry, or really anybody gets that angry. I kind of love. And if you were wondering about my upbringing, it stems from, I think, being delighted when my dad got really angry. My dad certainly when we were growing up, probably had an anger issue, probably still has a bit of one, but he's in his 70s now. So he's certainly cooled quite a bit. But, when we were growing up, you set Papa Mendo off, and not a lot it took. Fireworks. And me and my brother used to laugh. It was so funny the angrier he got. And I think I do love when people get really angry. And even if it's at me, it's like, but this is really entertaining, isn't it? So that had to be in the top 4. I had so much fun that night. That interview was so much fun. Speaking of football, we get to the top 3. And I might have had the most fun with this because I asked 2 friends of mine, Dante Hall and Tiki Barber, 2 guys that had played the positions that they played at a really high level. Dante's in the Chiefs Ring of Honor. Tiki Barber's in the Giants Ring of Honor. I said, can we sit down, take about an hour? I'm going to bring a Santo Tequila. We're going to have cigars, and let's just talk football. And they're like, down. Now, how cool is this that they took time out to come do this? But so we did this alongside a close friend of mine, Andrew Catalon from the NFL on CBS. We set up chairs outside and we shot it with real film cameras. And I really wanted this to be a big deal. Now, this was not technically Watch DA Live, but it's part of the first year of the YouTube channel. Undeniably, it's like one of the coolest things I've ever done. So we had to include this. And the coolest moment of this night, as the sun set in the summer and these guys are smoking cigars, drinking tequila, and just swapping war stories, was that I had no idea. I guess I would have known if I thought about it, but I didn't recognize it going into the interview. They were both former teammates of Dan Campbell. Tiki Barber played with Dan when Dan was a backup tight end behind Jeremy Shockey with the Giants in the 2000s. And in the 90s, I didn't know, Dan Campbell played in the same teams with Dante Hall at Texas A&M. So listen to these stories that these guys tell. It's number 3 from August the 20th, an evening of football. Both you guys are Dan Campbell team.
Oh, yeah.
Dan Campbell was the man.
man.
He used to tell me stories about Texas A&M.
Yeah, man. I got some stories, too. We'll save those for off the air. But no, Dan Campbell, I'm not shocked by his success at all. He was never the guy, but was always the guy as far as leadership, his practice habits.
What's his it factor?
His it factor is some people just have a personality, you either have it or you don't, that galvanizes the team.
You saw it in his first press conference.
There you go.
Biting kneecaps.
But that works.
Yes.
It works. Okay, tell me why.
It works when it's authentic.
There you go.
It's him. You can't fake it. Like sometimes coaches come in and they just want to fake a aura, fake a personality, fake something because they think that's what they're supposed to do. And it just doesn't work. So what Dan Campbell does is say, I fucking love you guys. You guys are the best thing that have ever happened to this organization, that have ever happened to me, and we're gonna go fight, and if you fall down, we're gonna fucking grab her and pick your ass up. Like, he does that. And that's how he is. That's how he played. Right, to Dante's point, like, Shockey was the man when he was in New York, meaning Dan was in New York, but Dan was invaluable.
Because Dan Campbell was Jeremy Shockey's backup.
That's the same thing in college.
But Dan was invaluable.
Really?
To what we were doing, because
the way he came to work every day.
We required blocking. We were a run-first offense, like in those eras. That was the Sean Payton offense. It was you got to get dirty, man. I need you to block a D tackle, because the guard's pulling. Because we're running this mixed direction shit with Tiki. You need to block the D tackle, and Dan Campbell's like, all right, let's go. Bow up. I'm gonna go get that guy who outweighs me by 50 pounds. And he would do it, right? And that's how he coaches.
Done a lot of things in my career that I'm proud of. That was one of the things I was most proud of. It took a lot of organization. It took a lot of orchestration. And you'll notice that clip, it's pitch black. We began the night and it was daytime. The sun was setting, but it was daylight out. That's the end of the night. And you could tell that's when we were getting the really good stuff because the Santo was flowing, the cigars, and we were starting to get real good behind the scenes stuff. So I can't tell you how much I appreciate Dante and Tiki stepping up and doing that for us. That was an amazing night, really amazing. And again, those guys I go way back with. Tiki was a colleague of mine at CBS Sports Radio when I was doing overnights, and I was a nobody, nothing, and he was doing the morning show, and he was, a Giants legend. And we crossed over at 6 a.m. I was checking out, he was checking in, and he was always cool to me. Now, that says a lot about Tiki. And Dante and I are the same age. I got to Kansas City in 2003, just as his star was starting to be born, and his star shot and rocketed up. I did a player show with him weekly in Kansas City that 2003 season when he was one of the most dynamic players in the league, and they went 13-3 and were the 2 seed in the AFC and then lost the Colts in the no punt game. And then I did it again in 2004 with him, and we became pretty close friends. And he's joined me on this journey of mine throughout radio at almost every stop I've had him on, and he's always been cool. So that I was so proud. It was shot so well. It was edited so well. It sounded good. It looked good. Those guys were phenomenal that I was like, man, this is good stuff. And if you want to go back and just watch like those guys start to swap war stories, really good. That was from August of last year. In the last 30 minutes of the hour, those guys are good and they're good and loose. Let's get to number 2. We had to make the pilgrimage once again. Bob's Bar. This was the place that we went every year when the DA show was on CBS Sports Radio. Now, I'd watch DA live. And so this is from November the 10th. We waited through the summer. We waited through some of the fall because Mraz's family had a bunch of babies being born. His sisters both had kids within weeks of one another. So there were births and pregnancies and showers and communions or baptisms. And we couldn't get a day on the calendar where Bob's Bar was open. We finally got one in November. And wouldn't you know it, a bunch of you guys showed up, and I love you for it. This was so cool. We watched a football Sunday at Bob's Bar. Here it is, number 2, November 10th. We have made it to Bob's Bar. This is amazing. All right, gang. I just wanted to say, raise a toast to Bob's Bar, everybody. Thanks to Bob for having us. 1, 2, 3. Cheers. Santo. There we go. Smooth. We've got some Watch the Aliens here that made the trek, and it is amazing. We've got Randy from Ohio who drove in from Ashtabula, Ohio to Long Island. We've got Moist Pork who made it from Baltimore. And unbelievably, Gordon in Vancouver has flown in for this, and he brought his wife and his grandson this time. How amazing. The loyalty is unreal. I am so grateful.
Then you walk inside the piss. There's 16 babies inside. Very little, really little babies. Somebody's nursing. Another one's being, cradled. The smallest babies I've ever seen. Then I come back outside. I'm back to being at a bar. I'm at a bar. And then you go inside, there's more babies. What's happening here?
To have Gordon and his family, to have Moist Pork, Zach Gelb came by, Randy in Ohio, and just the vagrants that live around here that have gambling problems. I just really think it made for a good mixed pot day, and I really have enjoyed it.
And there's no other network or show that I know of that does this, and this is why I feel like I need to be there, and how I've built a connection with other listeners, which I think doesn't exist in other networks and other types of shows.
Thank you once again for having us. We'll come back hopefully if you have us back here maybe next summer.
Of course, thanks. I appreciate it.
You got it. Bob from Bob's Bar, everybody. Bob from Bob's Bar. I have not seen this man in a year. Pete the Body Bilotti, how are you, brother?
I'm doing wonderful. It's just so good to see you.
I came here to see folks that had become my friends. I'm leaving here saying goodbye to family. No BS. I love everybody here, and I feel the love being reciprocated.
is just the beginning. I mean, it's just the beginning of this journey. It's just the beginning of Watch DA Live. I've been trying to get Bob's Bar, Watch DA Live 2025 on the calendar for a while now. I can tell you, we are caught in a little bit of scheduling traffic because Bob is having knee replacement surgery. Okay. Now he's going to have knee replacement surgery on Monday. Bob is like, I'm good to go. But Nancy's worried that she doesn't want to commit to something before Bob's knee is back. So we're kind of working through iterations of dates, of times, and when we can do this. But my hope is, and I would say I'm about 90% sure, I'm going to have a date for you next week. I think I'm going to have a date for you next week because next week we should have the knee operation and kind of the understanding of the therapy involved and what's going to go on and all that type of stuff. So we all love Bob. Bob's heart is as big as anything. He obviously wants us to come back, but understandably, Nancy wants to put some of the brakes on because she just doesn't know how Bob's going to respond to the knee replacement. But we're going to do this. It just depends on the date. And I want to give you guys as much of a heads up as possible, depending on where you're traveling from. I know you guys got summer plans. I don't want to do this in November again. I want to do this in the summer when it's going to be nice weather. Everybody has off, kids are off, etc. So I'm trying to make sure we can thread the needle on the summer. So that's why I want to get this date out as soon as possible. So we're kind of waiting on that. But it was a beautiful thing. It was a truly beautiful thing to see you guys come from far and wide to do this. And we didn't give you much heads up. It was a couple of weeks heads up. So anybody that could make it, that made it, really dropped everything to do it. And it was a really amazing day. Babs came out, so we kind of merged the Sirius XM and the CBS Sports Radio family, and it was just great. I hadn't seen Pete the Body since I had left CBS Sports Radio, which was crazy. I got to see him. It was really, really awesome. It was really awesome. So everybody that showed up were just wonderful people. I think Bob and Nancy truly had a wonderful time as well hosting because they got to meet a lot of new people, and I can't wait till we do it again. And that's our centerpiece right there. That's our foundation, the Bob's Bar. That's where I want to keep doing this. But no matter what, we will always have a gathering every year for this show, Watch DA Live. I promise you that it will always be because that's really what I love. I really love getting together, throwing back shots, having a few beers, and meeting everybody and just shooting the bleep. I love that. That, as we like to say, fills my cup up. So we will do it. I'm just trying to figure out the exact date to give you guys as much heads up as possible. If it happens in June, I don't want to tell you in late May. I want to make sure you get as much heads up as possible. So believe me, I am working on that. So that's the number 2 moment. And finally, number 1. This was an amazing sight. We saw the Oakland Forever show at number 5, but how about the Damon and Damon show from Line 51 in Oakland this past year? This ended up making news as we had the mayor of Oakland on as the A's were preparing to extract themselves from Oakland. We had hundreds of people show up for this event. It was an emotional outpouring. Again, it was such loyalty shown from people that I had never met that just wanted to say thank you for the videos and the shows that we've done here. So, man, this was an incredible moment. And Brian from Last Dive Bar took me out around Oakland. We went to the game. We tailgated. We went out afterwards, and it was an epic, epic day. This is number 1, Line 51, with Damon Bruce, longtime Bay Area sports talk host, from June the 7th.
We are live from Line 51 Brewing, where we are partying before the reverse boycott tonight. I'm alongside Bay Area legendary sports talk host Damon Bruce. Damon, how
Cheers,
are you?
Damon. It is good to
Cheers.
see you, man. Thank you.
This is a good crowd. Hey, guys, we are live right now. Let's hear it, everybody.
Much love to you guys. Appreciate everyone out there. You still haven't forgotten 10 years later, and I really appreciate that.
What'd you see in the clubhouse or the tunnel at the Oakland Coliseum? Were there possums, other rodents, bats, perhaps birds? What'd you see down there?
Yeah, no. Every once in a while, I see the fluffy koala or the kangaroo that the lady would pull out for me as I was walking out there. Big Aussie A's fans.
I mean, the Bay Area, especially Oakland fans, they're the best fans in the whole world. And I'm not just saying it because I'm the Oakland mayor, but like I go to so many different games all across the country or what have you. And Oakland fan base is like no other. The loyalty is so deep, and the A's reputation is part of their quality of life. And so, you know, to have that be stripped away without having a voice, like it's frustrating and it's fucked up.
But you know that guys have trophy rooms. I've got rendering room. They're all around the walls and frames. But it's funny you brought up the renderings. A lot of the fans that love me that are here today were asking if I had any new renderings to show them. And honestly, I don't, because those are costing about $1 million a pop.
Per rendering.
For a rendering. And we were releasing them like once a month.
Yeah, you get a Bark Angles rendering. That's expensive.
That was so cool. It was so cool to connect with people that had watched the videos that we had done and watched the show and knew us with the last dive bar and all that type of stuff. It was incredibly special, incredibly humbling as well. So that was the number one moment. I mean, it was newsworthy, so it had to be the number one moment to watch GA live. Got a little press out of doing this, but I'm so proud of this first year, and you guys are at the ground level of this thing. This is going to go on for a long time because I love it. I love this show. I love this family. I love this community. I love this platform. I love that it's completely democratic. It's free. Everybody can access it on your phone, on your tablet, on your TV. It's wherever you want it to be. It's free. It's there. It's accessible. It's live when you want it to be live. It's archived when you want it to be archived. I love this platform. And so we're just going to keep doing this and get you guys together on Sunday nights. Again, this is a Monday, officially 1 year anniversary from day one, but we'll go back to doing Sunday nights to make sure everybody is on track and on schedule. But this has been an unbelievable year. And it gets me so jazzed when I see names that I know from throughout the years on radio weighing in. And imagine, many of you guys may know me from CBS Sports Radio. So you guys all have those references. Some of you may know me from Sirius XM. You have those references. But we have people from Kansas City, from Boston, from Fort Myers, Florida, from Miami that come in and they're like, oh, yeah, like this is great. I get to listen to you again. Or I remember this, I remember that, which is just a complete, incredible dynamic at play as well. So this has been awesome. And I think the coolest thing is how our sponsors have noticed the reaction that you guys bring, the loyalty that you guys bring. Last Dive Bar, Brian and the guys at LDB have wanted to be on this train from day one, and we love them for it. They believed in what the vision was and where our hearts were at. And so they're like, let's do it. Let's be the first sponsor of this show. So Last Dive Bar goes back to the beginning. They're the OGs. They give you 15% off your order every time you use our code Mothership on their website, lastdivebar.com. And they're helping me out with a merchandise store. So we got that coming up here shortly, which is going to be awesome, where you guys can buy, watch GA live merch. It's going to be badass. So make sure you patronize the people that are good to us, like Last Dive Bar. Also, we've got this bracket challenge, okay? And we've got a sponsor on that, Tropical Bros. So that's going to be awesome as well. So I'm going to get to all the details on that here shortly. But let me just bring in Aidan, Marquette Marvel coming up here because, you saw all of this from the backside of it. Any behind-the-scenes stories you want to touch on after we wrapped up the top 10?
Yeah, going through the top 5 and starting at 5 with Oakland Forever was pretty emotional because it was almost poetic how that day went, as you so perfectly told the story of. That was probably close to an hour of internet malfunctions, and that was one of the shows that we prepped for the most. I'll get to the show that we prepped for the most as number one later on, but there was just so much into that. And then Brian comes in with the hammer of, making you choke up a little bit and making me kind of stop in my tracks behind the scenes, saying, wow, this means so much to thousands of people that were there at line 51 that day, obviously at line 51 when you and Damon were together. So if Bart Scott's funny clips were my pick for funniest moments of the year, the most emotional moment of the year was the Oakland Forever show. And yes, I teased that the show that we probably did the most work for collectively today might be in the top 2 or 3, but I think number 1 is the evening of football, and that's what made it so successful and a joy to actually have everybody in person together. The 2 of us, obviously our guests, had a nice dinner afterward, and you're right, the Santo was flowing because we got to hear so many great stories from 3 amazing people that are so gracious with their time. I remember telling people the day after, like, Tiki Barber told me this story last night over, these Italian meatballs about X, Y, and Z. It was amazing. And that we put a lot into that. And I'm glad that we recognize that, even though it's not as part of the regular Sunday routine. And then Bob's Bar and Damon have to be 2-1, 1-2, whatever way you want to frame it, because it was the in-person experience. And similar to Evening of Football, where you and I got together, it's great to actually bring the audience that you talked about that feels like they're friends in the chat to the same coordinates for once. And we're working on, and we have been working on for, months now, whether it's Bob's Bar, whether it's the stuff that you've done in Oakland and more stuff to come. We have so many pockets of the country that we have listeners in, and both of us want to do these cool in-person things where we could bring people together. And I know we're doing it digitally as much as we can. And we've done a whole lot of that for a whole year, which makes me really happy to say.
No doubt. Well said. And, even when I went up to Buffalo and went to the game, we got a couple of D-aliens up there as well. That was really special. It is great to get you guys together because everybody has such a great heart that when they meet one another, it's like everybody's old friends. Everybody's so welcoming and inviting and gracious. So as much as that as we can do, we will do to bring everybody together. And this show has done that on Sunday nights from wherever you are. And then we'll do this on location as much as we can possibly do it. Let's use this opportunity to get this bracket challenge out there, okay? The brackets are out. Join us for the bracket challenge because Tropical Bros is sponsoring the bracket challenge. Now, Tropical Bros is a menswear apparel company, but really it's a little unisex as well because anybody can wear a Hawaiian shirt, even if you just want to go out to the pool, if you want to throw it on over a bathing suit, throw it on over or whatever. You can always do that. They've got fun shirts. They've got great floral prints. It's all kind of like old school retro tongue-in-cheek type of stuff, which I love. They've got great colorful bathing suits and shirts and everything. They've got visors and caps and everything going on. So they're going to give away 3 different prize packs, the top 3 finishers of our Watch DA Live Bracket Challenge. There is no entry fee. It's a free sign-up. Tropical Bros just like, yes, I want to reward your listeners. They're awesome. The D-Aliens are loyal. They're great. They're killer. Let's do it. So I'm like, absolutely. So we got 3 prizes to give away. There will be a grand prize for number 1, and then under that, 2nd and 3rd place. But everybody's winning something, 1, 2, and 3. So get out the QR code camera thing right here because we're going to put this up on the screen right now. Take a picture of that. And then, boom, it's, again, a free entry. It's our bracket challenge this year. Top 3 finishers will win something. Can't beat that. Tropical Bros is bringing it to all you guys. And, boom, you'll have this. If you don't get it right now, obviously this show is going to be archived. You can always go back and then zap it there wherever it is or whenever it is that you are watching the show. So thanks to Tropical Bros for jumping in. And next week, we're off to the races on Sunday night to break down the first 2 rounds of the NCAA tournament. Again, Last Dive Bar, make sure you're taking care of them because they take care of us. And Aidan, why don't we give away via the comment section a couple of T-shirts tonight? Why don't we give away 2 T-shirts tonight from Last Dive Bar? Hey, I'm feeling generous. Let's do 3. 3 T-shirts tonight from Last Dive Bar. That's right. LDB, They've been our original sponsors. This is all about the origin story of Watch DA Live. Let's go through some comments. Let's give away some T-shirts. Because we actually have, and pop your mic on, we actually have a bunch of people in the comments talking about how much they love the Last Dive Bar T-shirt. So I love seeing that.
I'm glad that they support, and they are amazing people, as we've already mentioned, and people that, you know, we have known from day 1 to day 365. It's been amazing, and I want to highlight that here. Starting off with John on YouTube, who writes a very nice, heartfelt note to you. DA, you've done a fantastic job growing your brand, putting together a powerhouse radio show. Taking big steps also means taking big chances. Continued success and changing the sports landscape. Thank you, John.
Oh, it's very nice of John. Appreciate that very much. Yeah, this is a bit of a labor of love. This is a bit of a let's shoot the shot and see what happens. But you know, I feel very strongly that something like this is meaningful and important, and even if it's just a small number of people that it's important to, it's worth doing. What we found is there's a growing number of people that it's really important to, and that means a hell of a lot. So thank you for recognizing that, and this is just the beginning. So if you're watching this tonight, you're in on the ground floor, and that is badass because you took the leap of faith with us.
100%. And speaking of day one and being with us for a while, people forget that we actually did a show Super Bowl Sunday last NFL season. Not this. It was actually the Chiefs' last championship. So not the Eagles Super Bowl, but this last one. And that was our first ever broadcast. And I remember, you know, telling a few people, but it was really between the two of us trying to just get stuff off the ground. I remember, and I was in Milwaukee at the time where, you know, my second home, Marquette Marvel, obviously. And there were people there. They're like, hey, how's the show going? Whatever. And, you know, he's in the chat tonight. I was just with him in New York this week. My good friend, Brian, LDB, LDB, LDB. So hat tip to Brian, who was great to me in New York, obviously, this week. Yes, it's kind of a nepotism pick. But you know what? We've been here, and he's actually, it's not like he's promoting his own propaganda. He actually, you know, supports Last Dive Bar, as you can tell here. And he, as I mentioned, the Super Bowl show, tuned in for that first ever show, which is before March 17th, 2024. So love you, Brian. A different Brian besides the Brian from Last Dive Bar. That's one of my best friends. Love you, bro.
Nice job. All right, right on. Yeah, that was the night we went on after Chiefs and Niners and the overtime win. And it was basically to test out the platform. It was like, okay, we're going to go live. Let's see how this works. Okay, we're going to go do this. We're going to run this graphic. We're going to run this, see how the audio works, see how the video works. Let's just do basically a beta test on this. So that was the first ever broadcast. We did one or two more, one after the slam dunk contest. And then it was like, okay, we understand how it works. Now let's put together a show. Let's figure out what the mechanics of a show look like. Let's book guests. And then away we go. So that's pretty cool that he's been with us since really, really day one. That's old school.
And lastly, let's go to, as I'm pulling it up here. Last week, there was a off the kilter comment that I made, I think as we were doing this segment, about getting ready for the 1-year anniversary show. And I'm like, I can't remember how the hell I brought it up, but it had something to do with baking a celebratory cake for the 1-year anniversary. And I didn't call her out by name, but obviously we're talking about Gal Fieri because she took it to heart and actually baked a beer flavored cake.
No way. Wow.
Kristen in Buffalo, as a full circle moment, gave an update for those who saw the beer cake post. It is delicious.
Oh, awesome. Nice job, Kristen. She gave us our football foods of the week many times over the course of the season. So she has contributed quite a bit to the show. She's actually unbelievably talented on SEO, which is how pages get ranked on the internet and how you find things via Google searches. And so she's helped me out with some stuff behind the scenes on our sites as well. She's amazing. I've said this many times before. If I have a captain of this team, it's Kristen in Buffalo. She's smart. She's welcoming. She's incredibly humble. She's hardworking. And she's the person that we would all go, yeah, what she says is the right thing. Let's do it. So that is very cool, very deserving. And Booskies and Cakesies with the Booskies in the cake. I love that. Nice job. Congratulations. Give it away as much as we can. And we do this each and every week, obviously. And so thanks so much for being part of what we've done. I mean, look at how cool Last Dive Bar is. I mean, Brian in Oakland saying happy 1 year D anniversary. Beers for everyone. Can't thank you enough for all the support you provided to this fan base. And you just pledged us $100. I mean, is that not amazing? Like Brian in Last Dive Bar doesn't have to do that. He knows he doesn't have to do that. But he did that last time, and I sent all the guys that work on this show a gift from him. And what was it, Aidan? I got you guys, was it Maker's Mark? What type of bourbon did I send you guys around the holidays, courtesy of?
It's been a couple different alcoholic gifts. I'm just you know what? Let's pull it up because it's actually right in this. We have so many great liquor sponsors that I've almost created like a
very nice
boutique liquor closet.
So
here we go. I'm gonna pull out the bullet courtesy of Brian that I've put a little bit of a dent into. So maybe this is a sign I should open it up for more.
That's right. He gifted us $100 to spread across the D-Alien inner sanctum, the guys that work on the show. So for Christmas, Aidan, Ethan, and Carter all received a little gift courtesy with a bullet bourbon, which I love, and also a little sipping glass to go along with it, which is very cool. So thank you, Brian. You're the best, man. We appreciate you very much. And that's the type of family we got around here. About Wallace, who's just been such a P1D alien, saying, picture it, Austin, Texas, a youngish Packers fan decides to broaden his horizons and look to YouTube for old highlights and stumbles upon Watch GA Live. The rest is history. I'm not even sure if I know that's true or not, but if that is, my friend, well done. I got to meet Wallace at the office party in New York City a couple of months ago. That was so much fun. Absolutely love it. Great meeting you, man, and I can't wait to see you again. Got Largent, who's been a big part of the chat around here as well for a number of months. Hey, Weedos, D-Aliens, Aliens, and DA. What's up, family? MM being for the Marquette Marvel. Gotta love that. We're all doing well around here. Love you, man. And King Curtis has been in the chat for a long time, and he's definitely a P1D alien, and I love him. He goes, you guys get Marc Summers, yet you guys don't understand how big you are. And, the thing about doing what we do is, we get to touch the celebrities, and it's really nice of you to say that, we're important and a big deal too. But I always say, my parents are proud of me. They're not impressed by me. So I think it keeps you humble. You never consider yourself to be a big deal when, mom and dad, they don't fawn over me. It's not like, they're proud of me. They're not impressed. Okay. So it's keeps you grounded, but I appreciate you saying that. We've got so many good people that watch around here. And I'll tell you, this has been so much fun to count down the greatest moments of this year, and we're only getting started. I'm telling you, this is year one of many, many years. So thanks for being part of year number one and going back over the countdown, man. We had some really, really good moments. So pass this along to your friends. Say, hey, if you haven't watched GA Live yet, check out some of their greatest moments. You'll get into it. It'll give them a background, some context on what we've done. If you've only tuned in midway through this last year, the last couple of weeks or whatever, now maybe you have a little bit of context on what we've done over the course of the year. Like I said, we will get to that date of Bob's Bar, hopefully by next Sunday, to give you as much time as possible to book that thing. And then also, we're going to continue to give away as much stuff as possible. I will tell you, this is Studio DA. I now have 3 boxes of stuff from different sponsors that are like, what you guys are doing is special and unique, and we want to be part of it. I tell them all, I go, that's fine. What are you giving away? I start with that. What are we giving away to make sure you guys benefit from this show. So thank you. It means a hell of a lot that you guys all were part of this tonight. Spread the love, spread the message, get people that haven't listened or watched to listen and watch this show as much as possible and bring them into the fray. Thanks for a great first year in the books. We will see you Sunday night next week. Be good. Be good to one another. I'm DA. For the whole crew around here, the mothership disconnects.